Understand the news before we release the news. We care about the impact of the news on your lives. We are sensitive. We are patriots. We go beyond the headlines. We are the Forerunners. Don't miss Prime News all day on the top of the hour and get running with the news and actualities on Prime News Run. Be a part of the revolution on Prime 105.5 FM.
Good morning and welcome to Prime News Run, of 45 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one global world. Today is Thursday, the 30th of October 2025, and I'm Kema Zina presenting this 7 a.m. presentation. In the headlines,
Liberia is being nominated to chair the Sanctions Committee for the Security Council for South Sudan, and to co-chair the Sanctions Committee for DRC and for Yemen. Those nominations will have to be approved by the P5 countries, of which France is one of the members.
President Joseph Boakai welcomes United States government's decision to extend certain non-immigrant visa from 1 year to 2 years for Liberians, brings the U.S. visa reciprocity as a clear demonstration of strong Liberia-U.S. relations. World Bank October 2025 report predicts potential economic growth for Liberia, but warns that consistent fiscal indiscipline will promote domestic shocks. Notes that fiscal discipline will accelerate private sector growth and jobs creation. Also coming up this morning, Liberia gets nominated as chair to lead UN Sanctions Committee on Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Yemen. Foreign Minister Sarah Beslow Yanti reveals that Liberia awaits UN Security Council 5 permanent members' approval. And of the home front, Sudan's military government has ordered 2 senior officials at the UN's World Food Program to leave the country amid widespread famine sparked by a grueling civil war that erupted in April 2023. And Tanzania's authorities have imposed a curfew in Dar es Salaam, the nation's biggest city, following violent clashes between the police and protesters on election days. These developments plus the news bulletin, the larger voices of the newsmaker, are all packaged in this morning presentation. But first, Barclay Conley is up next with our news bulletin. Good morning, Barclay.
Good morning, Kema, and good morning, Liberia. President Joseph Boakai has welcomed the United States government decision to revise its visa reciprocity schedule for Liberia, extending the validity period for certain non-immigrant visas from 12 months to 36 months. In an official statement released Wednesday by the United States Department, the United States government announced the extension of stay duration of various categories of visas for Liberians visiting the United States. Under the new policy effective immediately, Liberian applicants for B1, B2, and B1 and 2 visas will now receive multiple entrant visas valid for 3 years with no reciprocity fee attached for those who qualify. According to an executive mansion release issued Wednesday, President Boakai described the decision as a clear demonstration of the strong and enduring partnership between Liberia and the United States, grounded in mutual respect, shared democratic values, and a common vision for progress. The president commended the United States government for this positive step, noting that it will significantly ease travel, promote business and investment opportunities, and deepen people-to-people ties between the two nations. President Boakai also highlighted his administration's efforts in advancing Liberia's international relations and ensuring that Liberians benefit from a more open and inclusive global environment. The Liberian leader welcomes the decision and expresses his country's appreciation to the U.S. government. He furthered that his gesture will facilitate greater people-to-people connections, business exchanges, and tourism opportunities between the two countries. For part, Foreign Minister Madam Sarah Beslow Yanti vowed to continue engaging the U.S. government and other governments to further expand areas of mutual cooperation and benefits for Liberians abroad. A World Bank latest report, the 6th edition of its Liberia Economic Update has revealed that Liberia can break free from its historic cycle of economic shocks and move into a stronger, inclusive future if the right policy actions are taken, particularly marked by consistent fiscal discipline. According to the World Bank October 2025 report, Liberia achieved impressive economic growth between 2004 and 2014, averaging around 7% per year, but from 2014 to 2023, growth slowed to just 1.4% annually, reflecting the country's exposure to global and domestic shocks. Despite these challenges, the World Bank says Liberia's ongoing reforms offer a strong foundation for renewed progress, while commending the Liberian government efforts to stabilize the economy, strengthen public financial management, and prioritize fiscal responsibility. It emphasized that consistent commitment from fiscal authorities will be essential to promote private sector growth and create more sustainable jobs. The report indicated that the next phase of Liberia's development must center on expanding employment opportunities, particularly through private sector-led growth. The report maintained that by supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, improving the business climate, and empowering entrepreneurs, the Liberian government can turn short-term recovery into long-term prosperity. The World Bank report encourages the government to simplify regulations and modernize outdated laws that hinder investment, calling for greater access to finance, training, and simplify compliance to help these enterprises expand and hire more workers. The World Bank report added that Liberia's path to transformation depends on collaboration, strong fiscal management, and investment in its people. With coordinated action, the country can build a dynamic economy that provides opportunities for citizens. Liberia has been nominated to serve as chair on the United Nations Sanctions Committee on Sudan and co-chair of the Sanctions Committees on the Democratic Republic of Congo and Yemen, making the disclosure on state radio ERBC Wednesday. Foreign Minister Sarah Best Loyanti said Liberia nomination is subject to approval by the United Nations Security Council 5 permanent members, which include the United States, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom and China. If approved, Liberia will take on the crucial responsibility of consulting with relevant authorities and guiding deliberations that lead to sanction resolutions in accordance with international laws and the UN protocols. This latest development underscores Liberia's growing influence and leadership on the global stage following its recent election as a non-permanent member of the United Security Council. President Joseph Boakai has arrived in Paris, France on the invitation of French President Emmanuel Macron, particularly to enhance bilateral relations between both nations by promoting cooperation in key areas, including trade, investment, education, and infrastructure development. While in Paris, President Boakai is expected to engage in a bilateral meeting with French President Macron and members of the French legislature to discuss enhanced parliamentary collaboration between both nations. President Boakai will also participate in a high-level meeting with ArcelorMittal executives, which is focused on strengthening partnership that support Liberia's economic growth and job creation. Meanwhile, following President Boakai's visit to France, the Liberian leader will proceed to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, for a series of working engagements designed to further strengthen Liberia's international partnership and attract investment opportunities. The Joint Committee on Gender, Internal Affairs, and Judiciary of the House of Representatives on Wednesday, October 29, 2025, commenced its legislative consultation with civil society organizations on the theme Collaborative Review of a Draft Act to Ban Harmful Practices for Effective Legislative Action. The session was presided over by Muhammad Briggs Mensah, chairperson of the House Committee on Gender. The consultation witnessed a massive turnout from representatives of various civil society organizations, including groups focused on women's rights, health, child protection, and legal reform. The Joint Committee expressed appreciation for the level of engagement and reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring that the consultation process remains inclusive and participatory, involving traditional leaders, rural women, and other key stakeholders in subsequent sections. A follow-up consultation is scheduled for Thursday, October 30, with traditional leaders and rural women representatives who will share their insights and recommendations to further strengthen the draft bill. The legislative consultations are part of the House's ongoing efforts to address harmful cultural practices, including female genital mutilation, and to ensure the protection and promotion of the rights and dignity of all Liberians. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, as part of its 56th National Youth Day, has officially launched the 2025 National Youth Policy and Action Plan in Buchanan City, Grand Bassa County. The two-day event, held under the theme Recognizing the Gains and Building Resilience for Liberia's Future, brought together officials from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, youth coordinators, and representatives from the 15 political subdivisions of Liberia. According to a release issued in Monrovia on Wednesday, the 56th National Youth Day celebration also highlighted the official launch of the 2025 National Youth Policy and Action Plan, a framework designed to empower Liberian youth through education, entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership development. The ministry emphasized that the new policy seeks to address the pressing challenges facing young people while building on the progress made over the years in advancing youth empowerment and participation in national development. Meanwhile, participants expressed enthusiasm for the renewed focus on youth engagement and resilience building, noting that young people remain the cornerstone of Liberia's sustainable future. The Southeastern Alliance of Liberia has strongly condemned the premature and unconstitutional bill introduced by Sano County District 3 Representative Alex Noah. According to the group, the proposed bill seeks to reduce the minimum age requirement for individuals aspiring to contest future legislative elections from 25 years as stipulated by the Constitution to 21 years, as the organization viewed the move as unconstitutional, ill-conceived, and contrary to the spirit and intent of Liberia's democratic principles. The group described Representative Noah as a rookie lawmaker who is still struggling to understand the workings of the legislature, while calling on members of the House of Representatives to reject the bill in its entirety. The Southeastern Alliance also called on Representative Noah to redirect his legislative energy and focus on initiatives that will improve the livelihood of residents in District Number 3, Sano County, rather than advancing proposals that undermine constitutional governance and expose legislative inexperience. They, however, warned against any attempt to breach or subvert the Liberian Constitution under the disguise of legislative reform, as it remains steadfast in defending the rule of law, constitutional integrity, and the principles of democratic governance. The Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency has declared its suspended former Grand Bassa County Commander Alfred Lackey wanted for investigation by the Liberia National Police. Alfred Lackey has been wanted by the LNP due to his alleged involvement with unlawful transfer of over US $10,000 from a suspected drug dealer mobile phone. In the release, the LDA warns the public not to engage in any business transaction with Sergeant Lackey under the agency's name, while calling on the public to assist authorities with any information that could lead to his arrest by contacting the LDA or LNP immediately. The former House Speaker Fonati Kofa has alarmed over a notable provision in the Oranto Production Sharing Agreement with specific emphasis on Clause 16.3, which allows Oranto to be reimbursed in an event the government of Liberia flipped the assets as part of the deal. According to Councillor Kofa, the clause ensures that every cent Oranto spent to acquire the block will be fully reimbursed upon flipping the assets. In a social media post on Wednesday, Councillor Kofa emphasized that Oranto will recover all expenses, including the signing bonus, cost for data acquisition, permit fees, and manual expenses. Any foreign development, Sudan's military government has ordered 2 senior officials at the United Nations World Food Program to leave the country amid widespread famine sparked by a grueling civil war that erupted in April 2023. The WFP said directors of its Sudan operations were declared persona non grata and told to go within 72 hours without explanation. The decision comes days after the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces captured the key city of El Fashal in Darfur from the military after an 18-month siege, which included a food blockade. The WFP said the expulsion came a pivotal time as humanitarian needs in Sudan had never been greater, with more than 24 million people facing acute food insecurity. And Tanzania's authorities have imposed a curfew in Dar es Salaam, the nation's biggest city, following violent clashes between the police and protesters on election day. Sources at the city's Muhimbili Hospital told the BBC they had seen an influx of wounded patients as Tanzanians voted in presidential and parliamentary elections. The poll is expected to be a show-in for President Samia Suluhu and her ruling party, as the main opposition leader is in jail on treason charges, which he denies, and his party has boycotted the vote. The protesters, who want electoral reforms and free political activity, set fire to vehicles and caused extensive damages to public infrastructure. The chief of the news bulletin Foreign Developments is back to you, Kim Azina, for the continuation of Prime News 1.
Many thanks to Barclay Conley for the presentation of our news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on Prime FM 105.5. Big stories we are following this morning. President Joseph Boakai welcomes United States government's decision to extend certain non-immigrant visas from 1 year to 3 years for Liberians, brings the U.S. visa reciprocity as a clear demonstration of strong Liberian-U.S. relation. World Bank October 2025 report with this potential economic growth for Liberia, but warns that consistent fiscal indiscipline will promote domestic shocks, knows that fiscal discipline will accelerate private sector growth and jobs creation. You also heard in the news this morning, Liberia gets nominated as chair to lead UN Sanctions Committee on Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Yemen. Foreign Minister Sarah Beslow Yantit revealed that Liberia awaits UN Security Council 5 permanent members' approval. And away from home, Sudan's military government has ordered 2 senior officials at the UN's War Food Program to leave the country amid widespread famine sparked by a grueling civil war that erupted in April 2023. We take a short break to be back with the voices of the newsmaker.
Bringing the news to your know with professionalism. This is your first step to hearing the news. This is the last step to knowing your news.
It's the Big Box House, and you're now listening to Prime News Run, Monday through Friday, 105.5 FM with the Big Box House. Game over.
Welcome back. With this first development, Liberia has been nominated to serve as chair of the United Nations Sanctions Committee on Sudan and co-chair of the Sanctions Committees under the Democratic Republic of Congo and Yemen. Making the disclosure on State Radio ERBC Wednesday, Foreign Minister Sarah Beslow Yanti said Liberia's nomination is subject to approval by the United Nations Security Council, 5 permanent members, which include the United States, Russia, France, the United Kingdom, and China.
So the important point that related to the UN Security Council and this meeting here with France is that Liberia is being nominated to be the chair of sanctions committees for various countries. Liberia is being nominated to chair the sanctions committee for the Security Council for South Sudan, for Sudan, and to co-chair the sanctions committee for DRC and for Yemen. Those nominations will have to be approved by the P5 countries, of which France is one of the members. So it's very important for us to engage with the P5 countries, the United States, France, and others. And so you see, recently I was in the U.S. Meeting Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is also National Security Advisor to President Trump. We discussed the UN Security Council because these P5 countries will be the ones taking decisions on the different file holders and pen holders on the different issues around the world. So Liberia is now at the table for these global conversations and now being asked to shape some of the responses of the Security Council to some of the conflicts in the world. If you are the chair of a sanctions committee, you basically are the one that you're the one that decides on the language of the resolutions and so forth. You're the one that consults with those countries, consults with the stakeholders and so forth to make sure that you're putting forth sanctions recommendations that will be passable, that will be also in line with various international instruments and so forth. It's a huge responsibility, and us being recommended to chair to and co-chair to means that the workload for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and our team in New York will be extremely high, and but it also shows the confidence that's being reposed in us as a country under the leadership of President Boyka.
So from France, the president goes where?
Well, I'll leave that to the communications team to share that, but right now we're focusing on France.
Foreign Minister Sarah Biaslo-Yanti making that disclosure on State Radio ERBC on Wednesday. President Joseph Boakai has arrived in Paris, France, on the invitation of French President Emmanuel Macron, particularly to enhance bilateral relations between both nations by promoting cooperation in key areas including trade, investment, education, and infrastructure development. While in Paris, President Boakai is expected to engage in a bilateral meeting with French President Macron and members of the French legislature to discuss enhanced parliamentary collaboration between both nations. Foreign Minister Sarah Biaslo-Yanti has been providing updates on the visit to France.
Well, the president has been very intentional about his view of Liberia's foreign policy, wanting to ensure that Liberia is repositioned globally. And in so doing, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who is responsible for implementing the president's vision as our chief architect of our foreign policy, we have been working with the French authorities to ensure that President Boakai could have this opportunity for a state visit with President Macron. To be honest with you, it should have happened earlier. Due to scheduling conflicts, we had to postpone, and this time worked for both presidents. And so we're here to ensure that President Boakai and his counterpart, President Macron, have the opportunity to discuss issues of mutual interest and mutual benefit to the French and Liberian people. The visit between the two leaders is about opening the pathway for deepening of relations between Liberia and France. And so the bilateral discussions, the tete-a-tete between the two leaders tomorrow and so forth would then lead to whatever the joint statement will be following the tete-a-tete, but we cannot preempt the tete-a-tete.
However, President Boakai's arrival at the Charles de Gaulle International Airport in Paris has been by a group of Liberians who are immigrants and students.
Good morning, my name is Diallo Mohamed. It's a great honor for all of us, all the Liberians here in Europe, especially in France, Paris here. We get a news like 2 weeks ago that the President of the Republic of Liberia is coming here. So we decided to organize ourselves, we letter so many leaders to come here and wait for the arrival of the President this morning. So we are so excited to welcome here, and we wish him a very successful meeting. Of course, I'm happy to see him. With the Liberians here, we saw a lot of things back home, and the changements going well, even though it's not the way the people expected. But yes, of course, he's doing extremely well. The diplomacy is really improving in the international stage.
I'm very happy and very glad to meet him. It's my first time to shake his hand and to meet him personally. And I'm very, very happy to be here to welcome His Excellency President Joseph Nima Boakai. If you ask me to create this Joseph Nima Boakai, His Excellency, I would tell you that at this particular time, we get him 100% because I'm in Liberia every year and I'm seeing the sort of changes and development that's going on. Especially for my county, I'm from Lofa County, and I'm seeing that there's a development that's going on now in Lofa County.
My name is Dave Fayo. I see what he's doing back home. It's very good, because fighting corruption is not easy, but he's trying his best. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad.
Masita Kamara Bangura, commonly as Sister Asita. Been living in France for almost 37 years. I'm very proud today to be part of the delegate. We got a good message for you, but it will be delivered on Friday.
I'm Sekou Eldore, and I'm the Vice President of the Federation of all Liberians in France. I feel so proud and grateful because if I see the effort he's putting in Liberia for our well-being and for the country to be worldwide recognized. It's worldwide recognized, but he's putting us on the globe. So I like that, the encouragement of all Liberians for us to be one.
Good morning. My name is Teme M.K. Duple. I'm a resident of Italy, but I'm here today and I'm delighted to be among the Liberia community to welcome our president, our daddy, to France for his diplomatic visit with the president of the Republic of France. I appreciate him for all of his good work he's doing. Though we are in exile here, but I always follow the Liberian news to be able to be acquainted with my country news.
A group of Liberians in Paris, France, who welcomed President Bouakar's arrival at the airport. Bomi County former Senator Sano Johnson has vowed to campaign against the ruling United Party in the 2029 presidential and legislative elections. Appearing on Prime FM flagship program The Broom on Tuesday, former Senator Sano Johnson frowned at the United Party of sidelining him after taking state power.
I said I will not support the party in 2029. Let me repeat. I will not. Repeat it. I will not support United Party in 2029.
Is this Senator Johnson talking?
Sando Dazo Johnson making the statement. I've said it. Those that have ears have heard it. I'm sure the president have heard it. I'm sure his vice president have heard it. I did it only for President Bouakar. Only. And I will not go beyond that. Nobody else behind them I will support. I was in Bomi, and Senator Tada and I. About 3 months in the bushes. See, this is spent millions of dollars. When they didn't have money to spend, we were able to convince our people to vote for President Bouakar. He alone will not do it. So if you don't protect my interest, so I'm sure with all our election time coming now. Then you call me, help no. I'm not a child. I got supporters. They have to survive. You don't want to help them. But I should be saying now I'm for my leg. Oh, Senator Johnson, rescue mission starting 2029. Help.
Will you support someone in 2029?
I just told you that the same.
Will you support someone?
Definitely. If I conclude with same, I will support them. Period.
The voice of Bomi County former Senator Sando Johnson speaking. Sano County Senator Creighton Duncan is urging Liberians to take ownership of national development while discouraging dependency centered on foreign aid. His call comes amid growing concerns about corruption, dependency, and lack of accountability among public officials and institutions.
I've come to tell you that no one is going to come to Liberia to help us. We should not expect a white man or whatever race or national to come to Liberia to help us improve our way of life. And our inability to understand democracy as it is new to us, we are still innocent of what it takes to actually elect the right leaders to lead our country. And many times we vote for people because of association and affiliation. As journalists, that your role and our role makes no difference. We are elected to advocate for our people. You are elected to advocate for your people, which is the Liberian people. But we run after for them. And when this government comes, things are hard. Government get better, things are still hard. That's why that has led to the extra that is keeping you poor and keeping us poor. And we all rely on the month-end salary in order to survive. And we look in the faces of these exploiters that we call partners, and nothing we do about it. And you as the press and journalists do nothing about it. You say nothing. Our only concern is, where is the brown envelope coming from? Who gave white envelope this afternoon? Who is part of the corruptible practices as it relates to the national budget? When you have a budget of 800 million or less, and B Mountain produces $800 million worth of gold this particular year, and your country got 50 cents on each dollar, which is 30 million from that particular $1 billion as they claim 800 million. Your children are still poor, you are still poor, but you as the investigative group within the country that we call the fourth branch of government have nothing to do with those investigations. But Sino County will sue the Liberian government if how this mineral agreement to continue to go through. If the national legislature vote and pass it because of the majority vote, we in the minority will sue them for protection and collaboration. Now, this is why you must fight all remain if we don't know how to get it out. This country is not just for you and me, it's for those that are not yet born. That is my challenge to you. As I sit angrily, and if you take us from this job in less than a month, we don't have money to support our family because our resources are being stolen.
The voice of Sano County Senator Creighton Duncan speaking at the induction ceremony of the Legislative Press Poll in Monrovia. For his part, the Legislative new President Emmanuel Cody has pledged to rebrand and reposition the institution-wide, calling on media colleagues to renew their commitment to professionalism and national service.
As your newly elected president of the Legislative Press Poll, I must confess that I did not see this coming. Today I stand before you not as your boss, but as your servant leader. And I want you to know that I will serve you faithfully, humbly, and with all the strength I've got to work with the betterment of our. We have a mandate to rebrand and to reposition Legislative. That was our campaign mandate. To my colleagues who have entrusted me with this opportunity, I thank you. You did not just elect our leadership, you voted for us for a new vision. A vision that counts to rebrand and reposition Legislative and with a renewed commitment to excellence. You voted for the rebranding and repositioning of Legislative, and that is exactly what our leadership would deliver. Now, let's take a moment for reflection. Over the years, Legislative has played a very critical role in bridging the gap between the Liberian people and their lawmakers. We have been the eyes and nose of the public within the walls of the legislature, telling the stories that inform debates, shape public opinions, and strengthen our democracy. But truth be told, our work has been without quality. We have struggled with limited access to information, inadequate resources, and professional neglect, and sometimes the unfair perception that legislative reporters are mere spectators rather than partners in government. That narrative must change, and that change must start. We will strengthen existing structures, and to begin with, we will review and modernize our constitution to reflect today's realities. We will pursue a 4-point agenda for transformation. One that focuses on rebranding and repositioning our legislature. We'll talk about professional development. We will prioritize capacity building through training and mentorship. We will partner with the Press Union of Liberia, media development institutions, and international partners to ensure every legislative reporter is equipped with the skills and ethics needed for accurate, fair, and balanced reporting.
The newly elected president of Legislative, Emmanuel Cody, speaking and calling on his colleagues to renew their commitment to national service. This is a reminder that you are listening to Prime News Run, 45 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and our one global world. Big stories we are following this morning. President Joseph Boakai welcomes United States government's decision to extend certain non-immigrant visas from 1 year to 3 years for Liberians, brings the U.S. visa reciprocity as a clear demonstration of strong Liberia-U.S. relations. World Bank October 2025 report predicts potential economic growth for Liberia, but warns that consistent fiscal indiscipline will promote domestic shocks, knows that fiscal discipline will accelerate private sector growth and jobs creation. You also heard in the news, Liberia gets nominated as chair to lead UN Sections Committee on Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Yemen. Foreign Minister Sarah Beslo Yanti reveals that Liberia awaits UN Security Council 5 permanent members' approval. And away from home, Sudan's military government has ordered 2 senior officials at the UN's World Food Program to leave the country amid widespread famine sparked by a grueling civil war that erupted in April 2023. And Tanzania's authorities have imposed a curfew in Dar es Salaam, the nation's biggest city, following violent clashes between the police and protesters on election day. We take a short break to be back with our major developments.
Bringing the news to your know with professionalism. This is your first step to hearing the news. This is the last step to knowing your news.
It's the Beatbox House, and you're now listening to Prime News Run, Monday through Friday, 105.5 FM with the Beatbox House.
Welcome back. With this development, a non-profit organization, Case Survivor Liberia Chief Executive Officer Billy Jones has announced the organization's plan to restore hope, dignity, and opportunity for vulnerable children in Liberia. Billy Jones indicated that it seeks to restore hope, dignity, and opportunity to vulnerable children and youth in Liberia by providing prevention, rehabilitation, empowerment, and reintegration services, an effort that will foster self-reliance and positive citizenship.
Case Survivor is a national registered non-profit and non-political civil society organization working to restore hope, dignity, and opportunity for vulnerable children in Liberia. Incorporated under the laws of the Republic of Liberia, Case Survivor operates with sectoral clearances and accreditations for relevant ministries and government institutions. Our mission is to restore hope, dignity, and opportunity to vulnerable children and youth in Liberia by providing prevention, rehabilitation, empowerment, and reintegration services that foster self-reliance and positive citizenship. One focus area of Case Survivor: awareness and prevention, campaigns on drugs abuse, child protection, and public health. We have youth empowerment, vocational, agriculture, and digital training for skills and employment. We also have rehabilitation and reintegration, counseling, mentorship, and community reintegration of at-risk youth in the counties. We have conducted multi-county Say No to Drugs campaigns in Bong, Nima, Magini, Grand Bassa, Kitman, Bomi, and Mosurado counties, reaching thousands of students, parents, and community leaders. We have established networks of trained volunteers and peer educators to identify and support at-risk youth. We have partnered with schools, authorities, and health professionals to deliver counseling, mentorship, and referral services. In Bong County, Case Survivor Liberia have been on campaign precisely about 4 months now. When you say I'm into a place, what are you doing? And those things you are doing, what delivery are they getting?
Chief Executive Officer of Case Survivor Liberia, Billy Jones, speaking. The Liberia United Methodist Development Service has kicked off a 5-day seminar aimed at reviewing achievements and challenges of the institution. The Competence Seminar 2025 Partnership in Development is being held under the theme Daring to Surrender, Exploring the Dilemmas of Locally Led Development. Speaking at the opening on Wednesday in Marshall, Magibe County, United Methodist Church Bishop Samuel Quayle reminded participants that as faith leaders and development partners, their work must be rooted in transparency and accountability.
For more than a decade, Competence has stood as a beacon of partnership and shared learning within the Partnership in Development, PID family. It has been a platform where nations, churches, and communities come together, bound by a common vision to uplift the poor, to empower the marginalized, and to build a more just and compassionate world. This year's theme, Daring to Surrender, exploring the dilemmas of locally led development, speaks deeply to our times. It calls upon all of us, both local and international partners, to reflect sincerely on what it truly means to trust, to empower, and to share leadership. True partnership is not about control. It is about mutual respect, humility, and the courage to let others lead.
The voice of Bishop Samuel Quayle speaking. Serving as keynote speaker, the Buchanan Port manager, Jonathan Carpet, encouraged communities to unite in their undertakings. Carpet noted that unity serves as a springboard for sustainable development, especially through community ownership.
A single basket does not jingle. One person alone cannot bring transformation. But when the community comes together, when leaders and citizens join hands, the sounds of progress can be heard. This is what locally led development means. From the African perspective, it is not new.
Our ancestors always knew this. Across Liberia, people practice what we call communal farming or coup, labor where neighbors work together on each other's farm, in turn ensuring no one was left behind. They practice susu, small contribution gathered to support one in need. These traditions remind us that development in Africa has always been community driven. Why this approach is critical, because local leaders and communities understand their unique challenges better than anyone else. They are the ones who live with the realities every day, who holds the cultural wisdom, and who have the strongest motivation to make lasting change. When development is led locally, it reflects the true needs and aspirations of the people it is intended to serve. This brings us to why we are gathered here today. We stand on the cusp of a remarkable initiative, one that promises to transform our community. We celebrate the square of Kodepro, save and improve learning in school. So, this project is not just another initiative, it is a testimony to strong ties of friendship and solidarity between our friends from Norway.
That's the voice of Buchanan Port Manager Jeniton Kabir speaking. Earlier you heard the voice of Bishop Samuel Choir at the 5-day seminar that's aimed at reviewing achievement and challenges of the Liberia United Methodist Development Service. And the Citizen Movement for Change political leader Musa Beiti has applauded residents of Mosrado County, District 12 to elect leaders who will work in their interests and improve their lives. Addressing District 12 residents, Representative Musa Beiti encouraged residents of the district to ensure they are not used by politicians for their selfish gains.
Let me tell you that by pushing your work, you did not make any mistake. You only elect people who will point to their achievement promises. Every presence in the district and his affiliation with the CFC, I show you we transform the district. All of the issue in the district. The problem we have today, we have our politicians who come every election. Now you will not see everybody going around this country. We run away from you until July.
Also speaking in Mosrado County District 12, Representative Jerry Yorport called on his district residents to embrace unity and discourage division. Sorry, we've been told that our asset is not available at this juncture. That's why I would like to draw down the curtain of this morning presentation of Prime News Run. But before taking leave of you, a recap of the big stories we closely followed. President Joseph Boakai welcomes United States government's decision to extend certain non-immigrant visa from 1 year to 3 years for Liberians, brings the U.S. visa reciprocity as a clear demonstration of strong Liberia-U.S. relation. World Bank October 2025 report predicts potential economic growth for Liberia, but warns that consistent fiscal indiscipline will promote domestic shocks. Knows that fiscal discipline will accelerate private sector's growth and jobs creation. You also heard in the news, Liberia gets nominated as chair to lead UN Sanctions Committee on Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Yemen. Foreign Minister Sarah Beslow Yanti reveals that Liberia awaits UN Security Council 5 permanent members' approval. And away from home, Sudan's military government has ordered 2 senior officials at the UN's World Food Program to leave the country amid widespread famine sparked by a grueling civil war that erupted in April 2023. And Tanzania's authorities have imposed a curfew in Dar es Salaam, the nation's biggest city, following violent clashes between the police and protesters on election day. Many thanks for playing a valuable listening role. Many thanks to our hard-working reporters, editors, and agents for making this presentation a success. Barclay Conley brought you our news bulletin and our international development. Theophilus Davin, Salah controlled and coordinated all of the sound. I am Kemazinan. I presented. Good morning.